Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Mona Rasoulzadeh joining us here today. Excited to have our Reiki master from Mystical Ray Healing live here on the podcast and the Zoomcast as well. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Great. Good to see your face. I love this.
Good to see you.
Excited to have you back. And for those that may not know, all you offer, intuitive readings, sound healing, Reiki, and so much more. But let me have you introduce yourself. How would you describe yourself and your Mystical Ray Healing?
Hi, my name's Mona. I'm an intuitive Reiki master, working deeply with past lives, soul level healing. I do intuitive readings. I do sound healings, Reiki, and a little bit of birth chart and a few other things as well. But my main specialty is Reiki and discovering the world of energy, healing, manifesting all through Reiki.
Good. And how do we find you?
My website is mysticalrayhealing.com, which is Mystical. Ray is spelled REI. Healing is HEALING.com. And you can reach me on my phone number at 604-789-0256. All my services, contact information, email is on my website. The easiest way to contact me is through there.
Well, we're excited to have you. And for today's show, where did you want to start?
I wanted to cover food and how we intake food and what happens in the process and the karma of food when we're taking in meat, processed food, and how it all plays out in our emotional, mental, and physical body.
Mm-hmm.
That famous word, you are what you eat.
It's so true.
Oh, true. You are what you eat. And more so now than ever before, because we don't have organic farming like we used to. There's not a whole lot of organic food that is coming to us. Everything is processed, everything is manufactured, big productions, factories. That karma of the food that we're intaking needs to really be examined and looked at. And we need to think before we take in food. Where is it sourced from? How is it sourced? And what are we intaking? So when I say karma, what I mean is by red meat. We don't know how that cow was raised, what environment it was in, what diseases it's carrying. And when that meat makes its way onto our food, into our plate, we don't get to see the process of all that. So oftentimes, these animals are in cages where they're not properly cared for, they're not given love. Many of them have illnesses and diseases, and it's not like when they are delivered to us, we go through that illness, remove it, and then source out the food. All that disease, if they have cancer, tumors, whatever, that's all caught up and transferred to the stores as is.
Never thought about that.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the process of how you're getting your meat. It's just packaged nicely for you in the store to pick up. But if you think about it, many animals, especially given in the environments they're in, they're not taken to a vet to see if they have any illnesses or diseases. They're not examined for all of that. They're just a source of food. So for that, nobody really looks at what's going on internally with the animal that you're eating. So guess what you're left with is now you're ingesting some disease, illness, cancer, whatever it is that was carried on by this animal. And I know when you think about it like that, it's actually quite gross.
Totally. That's what I'm sorry, my face is like,
No,
yeah, I'm thinking about it. You don't know what you're feeding myself,
yourself.
my children. No.
Yes, unless you know it's coming from a farm that truly cares about their animals, how they're fed, how it's sourced, you could very well be getting a piece of meat that has a tumor or has had cancer in it, and nobody's removed it before giving it to you. And here we are all this is coming up very strongly for me because in
Mm-hmm.
all of my clients, I'm seeing a really increased rate of cancer, Alzheimer's, many different diseases that can be prevented with food.
Yeah.
Um, our body does, our cells, our organs, everything sources its nutrition from the food we take in. So that's why they say you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
You keep eating red meat, especially. It takes about 72 hours for this red meat to digest in your system. And by then, if you've had more red meat, guess what? You're never actually digesting what you're intaking. Your body never has enough time to truly break that down. So you're constantly backed up with all of this meat in your system.
Oh,
Other than just meat, the karma behind how it's processed. If the animal is in pain, if they're suffering, if they're unhappy, that is energy that is stored now in this food. So on top of taking an illness, disease, whatever else you're also taking on those emotional stress, karma of the animal. Because no matter what, these animals don't sacrifice themselves willingly to be our food. It's often done in very vicious ways. They're killed suddenly. So that karma gets trapped into that body. And then what happens is now that you're ingesting that karma. That is why
wow.
so much of the collective has depression, has anxiety, has many things that aren't even relative to them. They might be in happy environments, happy homes, but they don't realize the food that they're taking in every day is truly doused with heartbreak, sadness, trauma, all of that from the animal that it was a part of. And that trauma of how they're killed, how that food makes its way onto your plate carries over. And that goes into your mental, emotional, spiritual, and auric field.
Wow. Should we become vegetarians? Now you have me worried.
I myself am vegan. I've been vegan
And what
for
is vegan? Could you explain that? I always get
Of
confused.
course,
What's, thank you.
100%. So vegan is no animal byproduct at all. So no dairy, no eggs, no meat, nothing to do with animals. I also make sure that all of my products that I put onto my skin, our skin is our biggest organ. It takes in the most amount. So if you're, whatever you're putting on your skin, you're essentially putting into your bloodstream, into your
Okay.
body, into cells and organs. So I make sure all of that doesn't come from anything that has anything to do with animals, just so I don't intake any of that karma or trauma. And I will say, just in my own journey with food, the past year and a half, I dabbled in dairy a little bit, and I was being more open, where I was very, very strict before. And I just realized I would be so upset. I would have dairy and then I would feel like crap for days on end. My subconscious would be eating at me, like, where did this milk come from? How was the cow when they were milking it? Things like that would keep replaying in my
Yeah.
head. And I realized my skin was kind of gross. My hair wasn't as nice and shiny. There's so many things that throughout the 10 years that I had been strictly vegan that had
Wow. Have
transformed for
changed.
me. It changed within a year of dabbling a little bit here and there in dairy. Like my mind wasn't as clear. I'd wake up really foggy. I'd like have things that I couldn't remember. Just so much that wasn't me was now in me. And now I'm back to being very strict vegan. And all of that has kind of all gone away within the last like few months of being very, very strict with my diet again. And seeing these patterns in the collective of people that I am treating, all of it goes back to food. Everything comes from food. It is what fuels us. It is what's giving us life. It's what's running through our blood, our organs, our cells. So when we intake anything that has karma and trauma related to it, connected to it, we're essentially inviting that all into our mental, emotional, physical, and energetic field. Then that just automatically brings down our vibration. We can meditate, we can do all kinds of things, but that in itself truly holds us back, because no matter what we do, by eating meat, by taking on that, you're essentially giving permission for all of that karma and trauma to be lived out through you now.
Wow. This is fascinating conversation. I hope for our listeners too, not just me. It's wide, eye-opening, awakening to some, I have kids, feeding them, gosh, processed foods. I'm feeding them meat. I'm feeding them, don't really know where it comes from. We go to the grocery store. I've never really thought about this.
Of course, because nobody makes that link, that connection, unless you, for me, diet's been always a very big thing. I grew up in a household of Persians where all they eat is meat and
Oh
all they eat
gosh,
is
yeah.
rice, bread. And when I became vegan, my family flipped out. They were like, "Oh, so you're just going to starve and not going to eat?" I'm like, "Well, no, vegans still eat. We just eat everything, nothing that comes from animals. Everything is from the earth." And many, many years ago, before we were sacrificing animals, when we were cavemen, we hunted for our meals. We knew where it was coming, where it was sourced from, how we were taking the meat from the animal. But it's
Yeah.
not like that anymore. It's all mass produced. It's not sustainable. There's too much factory farming, and nobody knows anymore what's going on with these animals, what illnesses, diseases they're carrying before we eat them. Whereas, like, my mother came from a village where they had cows. They knew how it was raised because they had it since it was a baby. So when they would milk the cow, they knew that it was organic, beautiful milk that was coming through with nothing, no illnesses from the cow. But we're unfortunately not there anymore. And so many people at a young age, there shouldn't be so much disease, illness, obesity, heart disease, diabetes. There's no need for all of this. The human body is miraculous. It was designed to be self-healing. It was never designed to carry illness. That is something
Hmm.
we as humans manifested within our own bodies by the way we eat, by the way we self-talk, the conditionings we have, the environments we live in, all the toxicity we invited into our system ourselves. But there, the human body itself is not made to carry illness. That's why it is a self-healing. Your cells are, your immune system is killing multiple cancer cells every day. That's how miraculous your body is. And then with food, if you look at people that are on alkaline food, which is mostly greens, vegetables, fruits, and a little bit of nuts here and there, their bodies in that environment, nothing, no disease can grow.
Hmm.
There's been stage 4 cancers, people with cancer that have been told there's nothing else they can do, that have reversed, killed the cancer by going on alkaline diets and doing all vegan, alkaline, all organic, natural foods. So that to me, everybody
That
needs
says so much.
100%. We all need to be much more aware of, if you're going to have meat, know where it's being sourced from. Please find a farm that you can get your eggs, your dairy from. Your foods, go to a farmer's market. Make sure it's fruits that are in
Yeah.
season, that are not like made in a lab. And like, it's wild to think, especially in the West, because when you travel and you go to Southeast Asia or other places, mangoes fall from the tree, you eat them. Here, they have a whole journey before they make it over to us. So in that time, what's going on with these fruits? Everything is produced with chemicals. You really have to look at the numbers on your fruit to make sure they're organic. Like, that to me is mind-boggling. I shouldn't have to look at my fruit to see if it's organic. It should be organic. Fruit comes from the earth. There's no need to mess with it. But especially living in the States or Canada, unfortunately, we don't have the proper food system here. It's just made to feed millions and millions of people. And what is the easiest way to do that? Whereas places like Bali or Thailand, you have fresh fruits and veggies that are farmed and they come from the trees there. It's a tropical place and it's full of abundance in fruits and veggies. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have that convenience here, unfortunately. So it's really, really important that we ourselves take on that responsibility of figuring out what we're putting in our bodies, how our bodies are reacting to the food we're putting in our bodies, and how are we feeling after each meal? Do you feel drained? Do you feel uplifted, energized? Do you feel sick? It's really important to listen to the body and respond and react according to what's going on within your body after each meal.
Got it. Interesting. Mona, just remind us how we can reach you if you don't mind.
Of course, you can reach me at Mystical Ray Healing, which is my website, and that is spelled mystical, Mystical. Ray is REI, healing, HEALING.com. My email and phone number are all on the website, and that is the easiest way to contact me and see my services.
Beautiful. Thank you again. We still have more time. I just wanted to make sure we know who we're talking
Of
to.
course.
And again, at Mystical Ray Healing, there's a lot that you do. And let's continue the path here. So we're talking about what we eat, what we put in our body. Sometimes you don't know where it's coming from and all the intention, all the energy that's behind it, and the very high possibility of the bad energy, the bad things we're putting into our body. So all right, so we definitely have more information on how to handle this and what we should do moving forward. But isn't there now, what if, okay, I know you mentioned that with Reiki energy, could you put good energy into bad food or no? Right? Because did
100%.
you can't, okay, okay. This
Yes.
is good, good, good. Explain this concept. Thank you.
Yes. So I always bless all my foods before eating my water, my food, everything. I mean, even in your water, you've got a bunch of chemicals, fluoride running through it. So it's always important. You can just place your hand over your food or close your eyes or however you want to do it and set an intention. Saying a simple mantra as digest this food with love, healing, and I release all karma and trauma attached to this food. As I eat it, I become light, I become fulfilled, my
Wow.
soul is nourished, my body is nourished. I literally, even if I eat something processed, like it's vegan and it's vegan meat, so-called meat, and it is processed, so it's not any better than other processed food. I always say a little mantra, a little prayer before I intake it, allowing my body to only absorb what is healthy, organic, and nutritious for it from the meal, and releasing anything else that is toxic for my body through going to the washroom, through flushing it out with water. But I don't want to intake it. So I'm always mindful when I bless my food. I'm like, I only want to take in what's nutritious, what is good, filling for my soul, mind, body, and heart. And I release everything else that is connected to karma or bad energy or any processing that is not healthy for my body. So of course, Jill, there's many ways. I mean, we're not all going to become vegan overnight. We still have to work with what we've got. If you got food that you're getting from the supermarket, 100% you can transfer and transmute that energy that's in it, that's stored in it, by first of all being grateful for the animal that sacrificed its life first and foremost, just giving thanks, saying, like, thank you for being on my plate. Thank you for the food that you're about to give me. Saying just a little gratitude for it. It is a life that sacrificed itself, that in itself
Mm.
allows any negativity, any karma, any trauma, sadness that the animal went through to sort of release through gratitude and for you acknowledging that. So that in itself can do wonders and wonders for you. And it also allows you to be in a state of gratitude while you're intaking your food. So you become light, happy, full. Everything in this life is intention.
And you mentioned everything in life is intention, right?
Yes.
So, what about people who, I mean, I'm learning a lot from you, and I've learned from other healers out there. What was the point I was saying about intentions? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Um, it'll
That.
come back, I hope. I hope. Intention, intention. Continue. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry at all. I'll talk a little bit about intention in case it triggers something
Thank you.
for you. Of course, everything life, as you know, is energy. So when we set an intention to something, it transmutes that energy and transfers it into now what we've put out for it. So even if someone comes in with ill intentions or there's tension in the room where you're eating, I always tell people don't drink the water in a place full of tension because water is absorbent. It absorbs everything. If there's tension or negative energy, that water will absorb it naturally into itself. It forms different shapes, and it's been studied. Water, when you adding words to it, it looks like the crystals in it are so beautiful. They look like snowflakes, just beautiful. And then when there's anger and tension,
There's
did
an
I come back?
author who published a book. Did you tell
Yes.
me about this? Did you show me the book?
No, no, it wasn't me.
But there's a photographer who actually filmed this, like putting it was like the icicles turn out different for someone giving love to the water, for someone giving hate, giving, and then do you know who I'm talking about?
I have heard of it. Yes.
And you could see how the crystals
Yes.
vary. Oh my goodness, got goosebumps.
And the difference between them. Have you seen the angry one? It looks like
Yes,
demonic. You don't want to drink it.
goosebumps still. Like that is, I mean, that's proof.
That's
That says
intention,
so
proof
much.
of intention.
Yep.
So that you can also do to your food. But people don't take the time. They think, oh, I'm just drinking water. Like if I go to a restaurant and literally I feel tension, I always bring my own water, which is blessed water, spring water with rose and whatever else. But I won't drink that water unless I bless it and I transmute the energy and I feel good about it. Or else I'm not going to take in everybody's trauma
No.
and drama and karma and intention and then transmute it through illness through my body. When you can transmute that before intaking it. So when you intake it, it's your intention, it's with love, and that's what you're intaking.
Beautifully said. All right. We still got a few more minutes left. Mystical Ray Healing, by the way, is the website. We're here talking to our friend about the work she's doing. Intuitive reader, sound healer, Reiki, and great chat today. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. What else is on the agenda?
Lots. Food is really, really important to me. This one was a big one that came through. I also want people to be mindful of when they're eating food, the energy they're in. Are they eating it quickly? I know, like myself, I grew up in the industry of serving. So you only got 2 minutes to eat food. Half the time I wasn't even chewing. I was like, get in my belly, get on the floor. But that itself is very, very bad for the body. If you're standing and you're eating, your body doesn't actually get to relax and
Mm-hmm.
digest the food. If you're standing and eating, your body tells itself it's still active. So that food actually doesn't get digested. For a proper meal, you should be sitting, having an intention of sitting. I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy my food, having slow bites. I think you're meant to scientifically chew food 24 times or something crazy before swallowing it, just to relieve your gut from having to break it down, but also to allow your body to know that I'm relaxing, I'm taking this in, I'm absorbing it and doing it with love and slowness and enjoying the flavors of the food, the palates,
Mm,
the texture. Like when you're drinking wine, you first smell it, then you have a little
mm,
and you take in all the different tones and notes. Your meal should be the same way, indulged with love, with care, with slowness, with honestly intimacy. Eating food should be an intimate thing. You're putting something into your entire being and
yeah,
it's forming and shaping you.
I'm hungry now.
Make
I really am. Let me take a
sure you
sip of
have
my tea.
something good, Jill.
Can't wait to have lunch.
Yes, yes. Make sure you enjoy, you take it slow, you set an intention and see how you feel. Try it the first time, especially because it's your first time doing it. When you set an intention to your food and then you eat it,
Yeah.
oh, it's such a lovely feeling. For me now, it's like an everyday thing, so I don't feel it as much. But when you first do it, you truly feel all that love that you've just put in. Same as when someone cooks a meal for you and you know they love cooking, you
Yep.
can feel that love in their food versus someone who just cooks to cook and is just putting out a dish. Like it doesn't taste as good as someone who's poured their love and soul into the meal they're preparing for you.
Mm, I love this. Thank you for sharing all this. And we're
Of
just about
course.
out of time. We got a minute left.
Perfect.
How did you want to wind
I'll,
down for today about, wow, setting this intention? Still trying to remember what I was asking before, but I'll figure it
maybe I'll come back to you in
out.
our next session and you can tell
Thank
me.
you.
Of course, just I'm going to end with a line from Buddha. You are what you think, you attract what you believe, and you become what you eat, essentially. I've changed that a little bit. But your mind, body, heart, and soul are all intertwined. So just as you feed your body, your thoughts are feeding your immune system and your soul. So it's important, along with good food, to have positive self-talk, self-narrative always, and positive affirmations running through your mind throughout the entire day. The minute you fear anything negative coming in, love is always the one that draws out fear, darkness, everything. Say one loving thing about your environment, yourself, where you are in life, or something that you love. We all have at least one thing we truly, truly love. And if you keep repeating this, your entire system starts to penetrate and circulate that affirmation you keep repeating. So what does it do? It believes what you are telling it. And it
Wow.
starts attracting things that are similar to that frequency you are vibrating at.
All right. Thank you so much. And how can we reach you, Mona?
You can reach me at 604-789-0256 or my website, Mystical Ray, REI, Healing, HEALING.com.
Thank you so much for being here, for
Thank
joining
you so
us and
much.
enlightening us. And thank you. Wow, I'm
Oh,
eating differently now. I'm going to eat different now, think different about my food. Wow, got a lot of work to do. I honestly do. And I hope a lot of people are inspired by this conversation today. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome, Jill. It's been a pleasure.
Same here.
Until
Have a
next
great
time.
day. Great seeing you.
Yeah, you as well. Take
Bye.
care.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.